When it comes to the animal kingdom, humans will never fully understand what really goes on there. However, they will always try, driven by concerns for their safety and well-being. What led a farmer in an Indian state to install a camera next to his house was the potential danger to his family from a lurking predator. What shocking scene would he see on the camera? Would his cow be attacked, or would he discover something unimaginable? Welcome to Wonderbot Animals. When he first saw the leopard enter his property, he knew he had to act immediately. The leopard was known to eat other small animals and cows, and he didn't want his family to be the next victim. Why did the leopard keep coming back to his house? To find out, the farmer decided to install a camera. One day, he closely watched the leopard approaching his house. The state of Gujarat is a beautiful western state of India. Residents of the state enjoy the cool ocean breeze in the sweltering heat, but they are also at the mercy of animals in the water and on land. Gujarat is also full of opportunities for hungry leopards. The farming community has many cows and small animals that are a delicious dessert for the crafty animal. Leopards only care about their safety and finding their next meal. It's a terrifying world for the lone beast, but the torture she could inflict on a family is unimaginable. A leopard has earned a family's distrust with this simple act. In June 2002, the town of Antoli had a problem. They were surrounded by dense forest but attracted predators, endangering their families and livestock. The villagers knew that something had to change, but they had no resources or weapons to defend themselves with. The leopard that caused the problems was often found in the sugarcane fields. She was cunning and silent, appearing at night and taking a chicken or a goat from local families. For how long could these little creatures satisfy her big appetite? Many families had invested in guard dogs and were looking for all the protection they could get. Unfortunately, the female leopard saw these dogs as dessert and she had no problem killing them as well. The town was frantic and had no idea what to do next. The female leopard could attack any house whenever she wanted. No one was safe after dark. One family in particular was intrigued by the leopard's behavior. They had to be careful not to become her next prey. The villagers were not sure if the female leopard was completely alone. They knew that many leopards liked to live in high fields because the long grass could protect their cubs. Was anyone brave enough to venture into the fields and find out if she lived alone? The risk of entering her lair was enormous, but would the results be worth it? What would the villagers do if they found her cubs unattended? Every action had to be carefully calculated because one wrong step meant instant death. After public outcry, local officials realized they had to take action. They decided to set a trap and surround the leopard the next time she entered the village. It took a few days to figure out her movements, but the time finally came when they caught her. Local officials had finally rescued their town from their worst nightmare. No one could imagine that the violence had just begun. The local officials who had caught the leopard did not want to kill her and released her far from the city. They decided that if she couldn't find them, it would be a safer solution and a more humane approach. A year after releasing the leopard, the villagers were surprised to see it return to their streets. This time, it moved quickly over the rooftops and didn't even stick to the fields of tall grass. The leopard was back with a vengeance. The villagers began to study this leopard carefully. It was doing many different things than its first visit and also seemed less confident. The villagers also decided that it was a smaller leopard than before. They soon realized that it must be the cub of the female leopard they had seen earlier. This meant that the mother had not returned and this leopard cub was alone. Would a family take pity on the animal, or would it remain ferocious and pounce on unsuspecting livestock? A family living on the outskirts of the city often saw the leopard cub. They called the local authorities, but also realized that the leopard had not attacked any of their animals. On their farm, they had many cows. The farmers knew that if the leopard attacked, they would not be able to defend their property from it. This made the family wonder what they were waiting for. One night, the farmer followed him as he watched him enter his barn. He entered the space behind the leopard and knew that he was risking his life to uncover the truth. Before we continue, like this video to help it reach 15k likes, share and subscribe to this channel. The farmer couldn't believe what he was witnessing between the cow and the leopard cub. It went against everything he knew about nature and made him doubt all that he had believed about the animal kingdom. He didn't know whether to keep the secret, but after telling one person, his experience spread like wildfire in the town. The local authorities heard this rumor and thought it was a joke. What they were hearing throughout the town had never been seen before. They knew they would have to investigate, but would they be able to approach the leopard and find out? The farmer had told his wife that the leopard visited his farm every night. He normally saw him enter the house around 9:30 p.m. and stay for 1 or 2 hours. Every night, when the farmer knew that the leopard was gone, he would go to check on his cattle. Every night he came home surprised and bewildered. The leopard did not kill or eat any of his animals, so what did he do during the 2 hours he was on the farmer's land? The farmer didn't know if he should investigate further, but he needed answers to this burning question. The farmer told his wife to watch the leopard with him one night. She told him when the leopard would enter the property and then waited to watch until the big cat slunk into the shadows. The woman ran to the barn, convinced that her husband was lying about the safety of the cows and chickens. She returned to the house dazed. He was right. All of his animals were still alive in the barn and there was no damage to report. They should have entered the barn while the leopard was on their property. They were about to witness something that challenged everything they believed about the animal kingdom. The farmer and his wife knew they had to see what was going to happen when the leopard entered their property. They couldn't stand the suspense or live in fear another day. When they saw the leopard again, they both followed him silently to the barn. Normally, at this point, the farmer would have tried to wait at a safe distance or make noise to scare away the leopard. Instead, they entered the barn and gasped at what they saw. It seemed like neither of them could move. Despite wanting to run and scream, they stayed in place, which could have been a fatal decision. The villagers realized that the leopard they saw that day was the cub of a leopard they had captured years ago. This means that the leopard would have lost its mother years before and would have had a very lonely existence. As a cub, he would have longed for a family and a nurturing presence. Leopards are notoriously solitary, but when you are alone in the world, you can find a family anywhere. The farmer and his wife stepped back and left the barn, amazed by what they had seen. When the leopard entered the stable, the farmer's bulls broke away in fright and ran in opposite directions. The leopard knew exactly what he wanted, and instead of chasing the bulls to eat, he approached a cow. The cow did not move or run away in fear. In fact, the farmer and his wife watched in amazement as the cow seemed to be waiting for the leopard. The leopard often came to the farm, but the cow was not scared or hurt. What happened next was a complete shock to the farmer and his wife. The leopard approached the cow and crouched down next to the animal. The farmer was surprised when he saw that the cow started to lick the leopard, and even more surprisingly, the leopard seemed to enjoy the cow's embrace. The farmer couldn't believe his ears, but this leopard was purring. A low, deep sound of comfort and happiness. The farmer and his wife knew that at any moment they could be discovered, but they could not take their eyes off the unnatural duo. The leopard seemed to relax and lean back against the cow's embrace. It also seemed like the leopard was explaining something to the cow. As the cow continued to care for the leopard cub, the farmer swore that they were also chatting and connecting in a way the farmer didn't know was possible. For years, the villagers had been terrorized by this ferocious beast. Witnessing this moment between the leopard and the cow seemed to defy the laws of nature. The farmer was surprised, but his wife saw potential in this unnatural sight. While the farmer thought he was witnessing something magical, his wife thought it was unnatural. She wanted the leopard off their property and knew local authorities would have to catch it. When she called them to come immediately, they laughed at her over the phone. The police couldn't believe the story this woman was telling them. Are a leopard and a cow friends? A leopard does not attack after visiting the same farm for a week. That was impossible. They decided to pay a visit and witness this unnatural act themselves. The farmer and his wife told authorities that the leopard always visited them between 9:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. They made themselves comfortable and found a place from where they could watch the leopard arrive. The leopard also realized there were more people on the property and used a different entry point to the camp. The authorities barely saw the feline when he snuck into the barn. This was the moment they had been waiting for. With weapons at the ready, they began to run towards the barn but stopped short. When the police broke into the barn, the leopard managed to quickly escape. Before he ran out of the door, the police saw that he was completely cowering against the cow. Even after the police rushed in, the cow remained unconcerned and did not seem to be in danger. The agents scratched their heads. They had hoped to capture a wild beast and be local heroes. Was the farmer's wife right? Were they the only violent creatures disturbing this local farm? They would have to come back with a completely new plan. It was something that had never been done before, and that meant they had no idea if it was going to work. The next time the authorities visited the farmer's land, they remained silent and stood on the nearby rooftop looking toward the barn. They saw something they would never have believed. The leopard cub was safely curled up against the cow and no harm had been done to the animals on the property. What could this mean? And, above all, what should the authorities do? They had no reason to capture the beast, but at any moment the leopard could turn against the farmer and his family. Was the village safe if they let the leopard and the cow remain friends? News of the mysterious connection between the leopard and the cow spread quickly through the village. People began to gather to witness the event, and each time, everyone emerged unscathed. The villagers thought they would see the leopard lose his temper, but all he wanted was to see the cow. The authorities were in uncharted territory. They did not know if they could trust the leopard and decided to visit the village elders to ask their advice. With all their years on Earth, they must have witnessed this before. The authorities did not expect that their advice would be so difficult to follow. The village elders listened to the authorities and the farmers' stories. They fell silent and then revealed that they had never heard an animal behave like that. They recognized that the leopard wanted a family, but they had to take into account the safety of the town. The elders worried that if the leopard was free, it might one day attack another farm, or, worse, a small child. To be proactive, they told authorities they had to trap the leopard. No one considered that the leopard would not go away without a fight, and the villagers soon learned that they were no longer responsible for the situation. The authorities decided to design a trap for the leopard. They did not want to harm the animal and planned to release it in the same place where they had put the cub's mother years before. The trap was a simple cage in which they used a goat as bait. They expected the leopard to devour the goat without hesitation. Instead, the leopard continued circling the cage, walking toward the goat but avoiding being caught. This lasted for several days, and to everyone's surprise, the goat was still alive after a week. What was the leopard eating if he refused this free meal? They would have to take drastic measures if they wanted the leopard to disappear permanently. The villagers agreed that if the leopard did not bite, they should use a tranquilizer dart. Once the leopard had fallen asleep, they could put it in a cart and take it away. At this point, the village did not want to harm the leopard, and everyone was divided over the best course of action. When the day came for the hunter to shoot the leopard, everyone held their breath for the big moment. The leopard had become part of the farmer's daily routine, and he was worried about how the cow would feel once the leopard was gone. Instead, it turned out that the leopard had a plan of his own. The leopard had a sixth sense of survival and disappeared from the small town. It was not seen at all, but alarming reports began to come in from nearby towns. A leopard terrorized the community and ate the dogs. It never attacked anything larger, but the local people were confused about where the leopard came from. The farmer and his wife knew that it was their family's leopard and swore not to interfere again if it returned home. They realized that they missed the leopard, and even the farmer's cow seemed to have changed. One night, by the light of the moon, the farmer saw the familiar rustling of the feline in the shadows. No one can say if the leopard came to say goodbye, but he never returned to the village. The farmer confided to his wife that the leopard had stayed all night and he saw it leave in the morning. The cow was unharmed and none of the other animals were injured. No one in the village has seen the leopard again, But the village has never forgotten the strange and intimate connection these two animals shared. Authorities contacted wildlife experts and were surprised by the response they received. When they explained the situation, experts confirmed that nothing like this had ever been recorded. They didn't know how to explain it, except that the leopard must have encountered the cow before its natural predatory instincts kicked in. The beast formed a bond at a young age and then had to fight his natural killer instincts to provide for the only family he knew. Since then, nothing similar to this unusual connection has occurred, but the community does not rule out the possibility of it happening again in the future. The story continues to be told as a story of love and upbringing in an animal kingdom in which many are abandoned to their fate in a life of loneliness. Have you ever witnessed such an odd connection between animals? What would you have done in the farmer's situation? Let us know in the comments, and remember to like, share, and ring the notification bell for more incredible stories. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.